Hey everyone, welcome. It's me, the part-time economist, and in today's video, I'm going to show you one of the absolutely easiest ways to create a 3D pie chart in the R programming language. So, you know that when we use standard ggplot, we've got to go through all of these weird transformations, create a bar plot, transform it, and it's basically impossible to make a 3D pie chart. But in today's video, we're going to make it so simple. So with that being said, the first thing you're going to want to do is you're going to want to install the Plotrix package. Once you have it downloaded and installed, pull it into your library using the library command. And then what we're going to want to do is we're going to essentially create two different vectors. Now, the first vector is going to be our list of categories. I'm using a sample data set that has a 4-cylinder car, 6-cylinder, 8-cylinder, right? Maybe you're working with a different data set and you have fertilizer A, fertilizer B, fertilizer C, right? Whatever the case, you're going to want to create one vector of your categorical, your groups essentially. Then you're going to want to create a second variable of your counts. So in this data set, I've got 14 4-cylinder cars, I've got 7 6-cylinders, and 14 8-cylinders. Now, the important thing to understand, these need to line up. So the first element here should correspond to the first element there, right? It makes sense. So let's go ahead and store those. Now, are you ready to see how incredibly simple this can be? All we have to do to create this 3D pie chart is to do pie 3D. We're going to pass in counts. So the first is going to be our counts. Then we pass in labels. That's going to be our category. And then, you know what? We don't even need this, but we're going to do it anyway. So, I mean, really, if we were being super simple, we could literally make this 3D pie chart with just one command, right? How much better is that than having to use at least 3 to 4 lines of code in ggplot? But we want to make it a little bit prettier, so let's go with label, labels, and we're going to go with categories, CATEG, okay, and then main equals, let's go with my pie. We'll just call it that. We'll leave it as my pie. Okay, so there we go. We've got the labels. We've got the title. Like, in and of itself, compare how easy that is to standard ggplot, right? Now, we can do a lot more things with this pie chart, and I'm going to show you how to do that. So let's suppose, remember, this is our basic code. Essentially, the only thing we have to do, if we want to add more, we're just going to do that by doing a comma, and then we type whatever other arguments we want. So I've already created some of these just so you don't have to watch me type everything. So let me show you what each of these does. Basically, what I'm going to do is I'm going to comment out these things that we don't want, and then we're just going to change one thing at a time. So, okay, when we change height, this takes a numeric value. So if I go with height equals 0.1, doesn't really change a lot. If I go with height equals 0.5, what you're going to notice is that it grows the height of that pie chart, right? So that can be really cool if we're just wanting more of a visual contrast. Now, what theta is going to do is it's going to rotate the pie chart for us. So let's see what theta of 0.5 looks like. Obviously, not much change there. Let's go with theta of 1. You'll notice how it brings that, it brings the pie chart angled more towards us. Now, let's see if we go with a -1, what does that do? That doesn't do really what we want. So, let's just stick with a 1 for now. Okay, so that's good. Now, edges, when we run that, what you're going to notice is it changes how many line segments constitute each slice. So you can see here I did edges equals 3. It is going to draw that using 3 distinct segments. So obviously if I went with 4, it's going to use more. As we include more and more edge segments, it essentially turns back into a circle. So just keep that in mind. Now col, C-O-L, this is going to change each of the different colors, each of the different pie slices to a color that we designate. So the important thing to keep in mind is that the order we put these in, it needs to line up with how we passed in our data, right? So blue is going to be the 4-cylinder, green is going to be 6-cylinder, and then purple is going to be 8-cylinder. Let's go ahead and run that so you can see what that looks like. Okay, then the next thing we're going to do is the explode command. Essentially what this does is it breaks the pie chart apart. Now, keep in mind, the bigger value you put in here, the more it's going to break it apart. If I was doing something, I would use at most a 0.1. I wouldn't go too high on that. But again, I'm not a graphic designer. I'm not an artist. You do what suits your style. Now, let's go ahead and adjust the radius. What the radius is going to do is it's going to grow the size of the overall pie. So obviously, we're covering up our title. That's probably not such a good thing, but I just wanted to show you that it is possible to do it. And then start, what start is going to do, start is going to rotate that pie chart for us. So again, I don't really like the way that this looks. I probably wouldn't adjust that. Obviously, the border command is going to change the color of the border that we're creating. Now, the label color, this is going to change the color of these labels. So let's go ahead and run that. Obviously not very good right now, but we're going to leave it as white, and you'll see why in a minute. Then shade, what shade is going to do, it's shading the pie chart. And then finally, we can adjust these margins. Now, keep in mind that margin is going to take 4 distinct values. So you've got your top, your bottom, your left, and your right. Let's go ahead and run that. Again, I'm going to leave that one commented out for now. Okay, perfect. So there is our basic pie chart. Now there's 2 additional options that I do want to show you. And we are going to adjust the background color and the title color using the par command. So we type par, we go with BG, and then we type in the background color, and then we set the color of our title. Now you'll notice that doesn't actually do anything because we have to recreate the chart. So now we have everything like we want, right? We've got the black background, we've got the pie chart, and it just looks really nice. At least to me, it looks really nice. Now, one thing I want to point out, I've made other videos showing you how to create pie charts in ggplot. And at the start of this video, I mentioned how much easier it is to make this pie chart using Plotrix. So why didn't I just show you this from the very beginning? Well, there are certain charts that are more difficult to create in ggplot. However, as an integrated plotting package that allows you to create so many different things, I think it's worth learning ggplot, and at least in my personal perspective, I would rather learn one package really well than having to learn a different package for every single type of plot that I want to create. That being said, if you're looking to create a 3D pie chart specifically, I think Plotrix is going to give you a lot more functionality, which is why I'm making this standalone video about Plotrix, even though my main focus is providing you with ggplot tutorials. So, as always, I do appreciate you watching the video. I hope you found it useful, and I hope you enjoy the rest of your day.